So it's been a little while since I've posted any videos, so I want to show you guys what I've been up to here for the last few weeks. I just wrapped up this 67 Coupe to Fastback conversion for a customer. This was a really nice, almost completely rust-free 67 Coupe. Owner's had it for a long time, wanted to make a Fastback out of it. I believe he's planning on repainting it a similar paint scheme. So I want to show you guys how I went about the swap. It's all dynacorn metal with the weld-through primer. This was a kit from Stangaholics and included all the interior panel brackets. So what I did to get started, I welded some interior bracing up near the top of the A-pillar, up in this area, and brought it down to the rockers to keep the A-pillar from going anywhere. Put the car up on jack stands and got it nice and level and square. Took a lot of pictures of all of the existing door gaps and how the car was lined up before I cut anything apart to make sure I had something comparable when I was finished. And I did leave the doors on the car for a good reference as I was fitting the quarter panels to make sure them lines were still there. So to remove the roof, there's an overlapping panel, and you can see it on the other side where it's dark. Right under here, it ends right here. So I just took a Sawzall and cut this whole pillar up, and then cut down and drilled out all the spot welds across the front. And then on the coupe roof, just from the top of the B pillar, just cut back into the rear window and was able to remove the roof from that point. There's no need to mess with the drip rail or anything like that. I've seen a lot of people just cut right here at the A pillar. Not a fan of doing that as far as losing strength, having to do body work in here into this gap, and it's kind of ugly. So everything was solid here. So I drilled out all of the factory plug welds or spot welds in here and on the inside, and was able to separate them and then keep the original window frame, because the frame is the same between a coupe and a fastback. Nothing changes there. And then that gives you a great reference point. You know, obviously your windshield's still gonna fit and your roof is starting where it's supposed to start. You're not gonna get lost, because it's definitely easy to get lost on cutting this much metal off of a car and getting it in a twist, or having issues where it's just not gonna come together right. So once all that was cut off, I removed the quarter panels by drilling all the spot welds in the B pillar and on the wheel well and the taillight panel, and also on the wheel wells. So the quarter panels came off nice and easy. We're actually keeping the taillight panel because it was in good shape. So that gave me another good reference point for where the quarter panels needed to end. First step was a whole lot of fitting. Sheet metal screws. Put the whole car together with sheet metal screws. That way I could fit the trunk lid, the doors, the window trim, and just the quarter extensions. Before you weld anything, I can't stress enough, put it together temporarily and test fit everything. Same goes with your interior panels. That was actually the last thing I did for the brackets. I got the rest of all the outer sheet metal welded up first. You gotta put your drip rail in before the roof goes in, because the drip rail actually has a ledge that goes up and welds to the roof structure, and then the roof overlaps that. For the B pillar, the kit came with new B pillars, but the B pillars on this car were in great shape. And again, another good reference point. So I kept the original B pillar, and the difference here between a coupe and a fastback is the coupe has a cutout here for the quarter window trim, where the fastback doesn't, and has this that continues up. So I actually just cut a patch out of the existing B pillars, the aftermarket B pillars, and just filled that in, because everything here was nice. The doors were solid. Everything on the inside was nice. Now, the inside panel here is fastback specific, so that is new to the car. You can see where all the spot welds that were drilled out, and then that ties right into this inner structure that welds to the wheel wells. The drip rail edge spot welds into the quarter panel, as I mentioned, underneath the roof, and then the whole way down the A-pillar. Into the quarter panels, as I mentioned, they weld into the wheel wells, and then the outer quarter is going to be spot welded in here to the inner structure, and that just ties that together. They also get welded, let's see if I can turn this around here, down inside the quarter panel to the rocker, and then underneath the wheel well in this whole lip. It gets spot welded the whole way around there, as well as your trunk drop down panel. It's welded across the back of there, and then underneath the quarter panel extensions. So again, once everything was fit with the sheet metal screws and I knew I had good alignment, did have to do a little bit of hammering, a little bit of cutting here and there, but overall the fitment, I was pretty impressed. For the amount of aftermarket sheet metal on the car, everything lined up pretty nice. So I was able to reuse again the original tail panel. As you can see, these corner pieces are new with the dynacorn kit, and then the rest of this is part of the quarter panel up to here. The filler panel, it's critical that you get your trunk alignment right when you're messing with that panel to get your gaps the whole way around. Fortunately, again, for an aftermarket trunk, there's a lot of lines going on here, and it actually fit really well, a lot better than some of the other trunks that I've messed with, even from Dynacorn. So kind of lucked out with this one. Definitely put your quarter extensions on, make sure that your lines are good here. This is a little high. That your lines are good here. It'll need some minor adjustment, but the customer is going to be finishing bodywork and painting this car himself. Definitely recommend this 68 style clock spring hinges for the trunk, as opposed to the old style bars. It'd be a little tricky. And then I wanted to go over some of the bracket locations, because when you get the interior bracket kit from Dynacorn, it's pretty tricky. There's a whole bunch of stuff just thrown in a box. Nothing's labeled. So figured I'd do a quick run through here, show you what all these brackets are. Dynacorn actually has some pre-made, I guess they're just laser cut holes that locate these brackets the whole way across the top, as well as the brackets here for the quarter panel. And it's the same on both sides. You can see that. You won't put the holes in here until you actually line up your panel, see where the hole falls, and then you can drill a pilot hole and run your screw through. So those guys just screw in, and then when you get onto your weld-in panels, the rear seat retainer is a little different. You can see here's the stems where the original Coupe ones were, and they sit pretty tall, about this high. They can just be cut off, and the Fastback style are going to be located just inboard of those. Same thing on the other side. These long brackets here are going to butt right against this lip on your rear torque box, and they come out 7 inches from here to here, and that's going to locate the bottom of your large fiberglass panels. And your seat bracket, they weld in just right there, and then here is your rear seat retainers. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but there's actually an indent in the transition pan that locates these guys. You can see that right there. This is one of the Coupe trim brackets that's not needed. And then here is your seat back bracket for the Fastback seat. Gets welded right to the wheel tub. And then here's your rear bracket for the rest of the fiberglass trim that wraps around the front. There are 3 brackets that go across the top here. You see they have a lip on them. They locate on the edge here, and then they're going to get a hole in here for the trim that goes between the headliner and the rear glass. So one of them in the center, and then the other 2 go right across the transition where this brace welds into the outer skin. Here's a better shot where we welded together the original A-pillar to the new metal. Now the kit will also come with these 3 brackets. These are for your visors. So obviously you get one for each side there. And then this center post where your visor clip will screw. So if you're reusing the A-pillar, you won't need those brackets. You can just toss them, sell them, whatever. Now, the only brackets I didn't install is there are 3 brackets that go across the back here. And I did not have any spare interior panels, and I did check 2 different Fastbacks that were torn apart, and the brackets were in different places, so I didn't want to just go off a measurement, so the customer will be locating those with sheet metal screws once he puts his interior panel against there. The last bracket, it's a single one, and this guy goes right here, and this is for if you have the fold down trap door. This is kind of like your retainer for your lever for that. Climb out of here. So all in all, the conversion went pretty good. Like I said, I was pretty impressed with the dynacorn sheet metal. The fit and finish was really good. When I got to the transition where the roof meets the quarter, you have this large S shape where the factory was filled with lead. I went to Mustangs to Fear, and they sell a laser cut sheet metal panel. So I was able to just paint this whole area with the weld through primer and then weld that S-shaped panel in here. That way you're not just filling that up with filler, because it's pretty deep. It's over 1/4 inch deep. So weld and grind that, so this is almost completely metal, just a little bit of filler, just to smooth things out. And then I did the same thing at the transition right here where the roof meets the A-pillar. I just cut out square sheet metal, wrapped it around the edge, welded all that nice and tight. That way there wasn't any filler in here either, because these are stress points. If you jack the car up, you know, just in one corner, or as you're hitting bumps, if you just try to fill that in with Bondo or something, it is going to crack. As far as the roof goes, obviously just punch a bunch of holes in here, 1/4 inch holes, and plug weld them. Same with down the quarter panel. And I've done the roofs 2 ways. The way I did this one, I prefer, instead of punching holes on the top of the roof and plug welding in the rain gutter here, I filled the entire gutter with a body panel, a bonding adhesive, you know, made for steel body panels, and then clamped the roof into place and let it sit overnight. Welded all these up to locate it, so you still have the strength of all the welds, but then you have the advantage of the panel bond in here, so you don't have to worry about any kind of water getting in between the drip rail and the roof, because it's completely filled with panel bond. And then I went in on top of that with seam sealer and completely smoothed that out before doing any primer. So there it is. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. If there's anything that you specifically want to see that maybe I didn't catch in the video, let me know. I'll have the car here for a couple more days, and I'll be happy to help if I can. All right, thanks.